I think there was a close call to having a Polish Pegasus. So, yeah, so I have decided to do the self destruction DVD of The Ultimate Warrior. So, any wrestling fans out there, well, I finally am doing a wrestling video. So, I will do that right after. Well, I hope you remember these figures. The big boss man figure that was shown, my brother just banged it against the table and the whole thing fell apart. So, these things weren't exactly the most durable. So I think these are ones you were really supposed to keep in the packages because my ultimate figure, my ultimate warrior figure, yes, that is the first ever wrestling action figure I got. Lasted about 5 days. I threw a punch and his arm fell off. So yes, these were a lot of fun and drove your parents nuts because they had to buy you more. So yeah, so yeah, I hope you enjoyed those wrestling figure commercials. That is the first memory I have of wrestling. I actually started watching it in the summer of '91. So, and one of the first things I ever saw was the Ultimate Warrior getting stuffed in a casket by the Undertaker. And yes, it scared it scared the bejeebers out of me as a young kid. They probably have it on. I think I've seen it on YouTube. It is a good video. So if anybody does want to check it out, I'm sure it's on there. They had a very poorly done feud. The best thing about that was indeed the him getting stuffed in a casket. So the self destruction of the Ultimate Warrior. So I've already gotten questions on this already. How did he self destruct? Oh, we'll get into that. There were a lot of stories. I remember some of them when I was a kid. Is they said the Ultimate Warrior died and they brought in somebody else. That was a very popular rumor. And to answer anybody's questions, it did last a long time because my cousin Matt asked me about this when this DVD came out. So what they say on the DVD is that rumor didn't last long. Oh, bull crap, it did too. It lasted a long time. There were people that still believed it up until, well, when he really did pass away. So, the Ultimate Warrior was a very popular wrestler. I believe he did begin his career in the 80s. He actually, Sting was his tag team partner when they had the territories, and then they both went their separate ways. They have split stories of what happened. The Ultimate Warrior story was that Sting was a yes man and he did what he was told, where the Ultimate Warrior had creative ideas and wanted to go off on his own. Yeah, there were there's split things there, so I'm not really sure why they split up, but I think Jim Hellwig, the Ultimate Warrior, had a lot to do with that because he was difficult to get along with. Also, he had very limited skills and didn't really want to learn how to wrestle. That was the other part that I think is true. So he bounced around. He became the Dingo Warrior. Then eventually he went on to the WWF at the time, and then finally became the Ultimate Warrior. And from what Bruce Pritchard did say was there was no intent to call him the Warrior because there were so many of them. There was the Road Warriors, which was Hawk and Animal, the Legion of Doom tag team. Later to be called the Legion of Doom tag team, they were called the Road Warriors first. And then there was the Kerry Von Erich was the other warrior. So he didn't want to use that term until he just blurted out the Ultimate Warrior. So he became the Ultimate Warrior. They put him on TV, or they put him on the dark matches, I think they're called. Any real wrestling fan can correct me on that because I liked it, but I didn't really love it as much as most people. So I think they were called dark matches when they don't put him on TV right away, and then gradually they brought him on. So he was exciting. The music was really cool, but his matches I noticed as a kid they were really short, which it didn't really click until I started watching the actual DVD, and they explained that he didn't have a real good wrestling skill, and it did bother him when people did kind of say that, but he never really practiced his craft. So later on, he does end up what this DVD is called, of course, the self-destruction. So he does self-destruct. He holds Vince up for money. He doesn't show up for certain shows when he's supposed to. There was also a drug policy. He failed a drug test. So there were just a lot of things going on with him. At least he made it in the ring okay. At least didn't trip over the ropes or something like that. So I will actually get right into it and actually show the first clip where they go into the music a little bit, and you'll hear from other wrestlers and managers and officials in this. Bruce Pritchard is somebody that talks. Vince McMahon is somebody else that will talk in this. Chris Jericho. Um, yes. The great JR, Mean Gene Okerlund. Oh, and how can I forget Bobby Heenan, the guy that bashes him the most? So that will be very interesting. So I will show the first clip in just a second. Well, to answer other questions, as you can see when he's running to the ring, he's incredibly large. And how did he get that way? I'm sure it was just a can of tuna and a raw egg. Oh no, that guy juiced. He juiced big time. So, yes, he's running to the ring. I'll write it up. Limited skills, at least, like I said, at least he didn't trip over the ropes or trip over a fan going to reach in for him. So, at least he got into the ring okay. So, at least he had the sense to know where the ring was. I don't think he was a very smart man either. So, well, I'm just being honest. I can't lie. So yeah. So when he does get into the ring, and what they're saying is once the music goes, that's it. It's done. The magic is pretty much over because his matches are going to be incredibly short, and I mean probably 2 minutes long because he's already tired by the time he does get to the ring. So now I will show the next clip. I'm going right in, I guess, to Bobby Heenan, and he already shows his love for the Ultimate Warrior during this wonderful DVD. This is actually the first wrestling documentary I actually did buy. I found this at FYE, and I bought this one and Jake the Snake Roberts' Pick Your Poison. And what's funny about some of these is some of them do go hand in hand, and these two were actually they actually sort of do go hand in hand in some ways. So I thought that was kind of interesting as well. I watched this one first, and I watched the Jake Roberts one after. So I will show the clip right now of the Weasel suit, part of that match. So I will show that in just Bobby Heenan starting things off. Believe me, he says more. Bobby Heenan's not done. I actually think Bobby Heenan was, I think he flew down and was the first one to make sure that the Warrior was actually buried when he passed away. Bobby Heenan could not stand this guy. I think him and Cornette probably went together and made sure that he was gone. So I'm just being honest here. So, so this is Bobby Heenan in this Weasel suit match, and this is just the beginning, I think, of him and the Ultimate Warrior not really getting along. And believe me, there's more feuds coming. Bobby Heenan, of course, was a manager back in the day, and he pretty much gave his life to wrestling. So if somebody is not respecting the business, he's not going to like you very much. So, and he managed Ravishing Rick Rude. Warrior had a feud with him. Andre the Giant, Warrior had a feud with him. So they met more than one time. So I actually believe what Bobby Heenan is saying here. So the next clip I'm going to show, there is, I guess they said he was from parts unknown. This is before my time a little bit here. Like I said, I didn't watch till 91. This is probably maybe 87 or maybe a little bit earlier. But they do these cool little setups that they clearly do not do today. Why they don't ask me. Ask Triple H or Stephanie McMahon. She's not part of it. Okay, Stephanie's out. So ask somebody else. So I will show you that clip in just a second. Well, these are his wonderful promos. And I guess, well, obviously, like I said, Bobby Heenan, maybe he didn't say anything really nice about it. Pretty much he said he didn't know how to do an interview. And the sad thing is, he actually practiced doing these interviews when he was in his wife's car. So he did actually put thought into these mindless interviews. So after watching this DVD, I understand now. You really can't understand what he's saying. I never really picked that up when I used to watch this when I was 7 years old. I probably just didn't care. But now that I think of it, I can remember some of Hulk Hogan's promos. I can remember the Big Boss Man's. I don't even remember any of the Ultimate Warriors because it was, I guess they were just that bad. And he was one of my favorite wrestlers I used to watch. So, and Bobby Heenan's not done. His feud with Ravishing Rick Rude taking the Intercontinental title of him robbing, he robbed him of the Intercontinental title. Bobby Heenan put the Warriors, he held his feet down so he couldn't kick out. So I will show the clip of what the Warrior does to Bobby Heenan. And Bobby Heenan, of course, has a few choice words more on this DVD. So we get to go to Bobby Heenan again. So I will show that in just a second. Oh, yes. So this is the part here where he slams Bobby Heenan the wrong way. It turns out that he was supposed to, he obviously press slammed him the wrong way. Apparently, from what Cornette said, again, though, I don't know how much to really believe here, but he did apparently hurt Bobby Heenan's neck on this. So obviously, everything here is by script, as what Stimpy is saying, that it's all scripted stuff. So, but he just doesn't listen. He just wants to rush it. He wants to get out. He wants to collect his paycheck. He was also one of the first wrestlers, apparently, to have a dressing room all to himself. Macho Man did have one, but he hung out with the other wrestlers. Hulk Hogan had one, but apparently he hung out with some of the other wrestlers. The Ultimate Warrior just stayed by himself. So now he does have a feud with Andre the Giant, which I have right there. So I do have my little guys with me. I got Demolition, Paul Bear, Macho Man, Double J, Jeff Jarrett in his country gimmick, and then of course Andre the Giant. So Andre does have a feud here with the Ultimate Warrior again before my time, but apparently it was very very short lived. I don't have their feuds on any of my DVDs. I don't think I do anyway. So I will show the first clip of it with Mean Gene Okerlund is giving his take, somebody other than Bobby Heenan, but he'll put his 2 cents in too. So I will show that clip in just a second. This is this is Stimpy. He wants to join in on this. He was really interested, I think. So this was the Andre feud that was supposed to make a lot of money, and it turns out it did not. So I know Bruce Pritchard is on here a little bit. I don't really believe too much what he says because he pretty much kisses Vince's butt. Even after the whole scandal thing, he was still mad that people were pretty much calling him a scumbag. So anything I see with Bruce Pritchard now, I just completely ignore because Vince McMahon could pretty much kill somebody and he would defend him. So, but the other people are pretty credible. JR is pretty credible. Jerry Lawler, I think, pretty much is too. And Bobby Heenan, as much as he annoyed me as a commentator, he obviously was big into this business. So I do believe what he says, especially since he had to deal with him a lot, since a lot of the wrestlers he managed, he did face. So, so now they went into the Royal Rumble. Hogan interfered with the Warrior. He got him out of the ring, and now this leads up to their match in WrestleMania 6, which was interesting because it was two baby faces going at it. So when I saw this WrestleMania as a kid, it was I didn't really like two wrestlers I liked facing each other because I didn't really care who won. But looking at it now, it was actually a pretty cool match because really now I can't stand either of them. If you want my honest opinion, I really don't like Hulk Hogan much, and after seeing this, I really don't like the Warrior much either. So, well, I don't. So, So now he does wrestle Hogan, and I will show you who does win that match in case there are some younger people that don't know. So I will show that. I will show that clip in just a second. Hogan is about to bruise his tailbone. So this was his now other push at WrestleMania 6. So Vincent Hogan pretty much did give him chances. Now he's got the championship belt. He won this at WrestleMania 6. So he did the, um, I think it was a SummerSlam with Honky Tonk Man, won the Intercontinental belt. Then at WrestleMania 6, he wins the championship belt, and he held it for a little while, and then he lost it to Sergeant Slaughter, and then he had a retirement match at WrestleMania 7 with Randy Savage, which was a cool feud, but I'm not going to show every little thing here, so I did not show it. But I'm getting into the good stuff now. There is more to him than just being careless in the ring, having limited skills, not listening to people. Now it's pretty much slapping your boss in the face after they pretty much hand fed you. Now I know this is Vince McMahon, and I don't really care for him either, but this is not something you do when you are good at what you do. You're a head figure in the company, and yeah, this is something you just don't do. So I'm going to show the clip, and then I'll explain it after. So we get to hear from Sergeant Slaughter for the first time in this DVD. I was not a huge fan of his character as a kid. I thought it was kind of boring. So anytime Sergeant Slaughter was out, I would just sort of fall asleep. So I will now show what the Ultimate Warrior does. So I will show that clip in just a second. Well, this is oh god, I don't know what to say about this. This was not a good WrestleMania at all. This last match was just horrible. It was Sid and Hulk Hogan to finish things off. Normally they have a title match. This wasn't a title match. This was just plain old boredom. The Ric Flair Macho Man match actually wasn't bad, and that was for the title. That should have been the main event, not this mumbo jumbo. So Sid, who was a snore to watch in the ring, was with Hogan, and then Papa Shango came down to interfere, and then that's when the Warriors' music went off, and then okay, the Warriors back. He has short hair, and then there's a rumor that people started that the old Ultimate Warrior died, and this new one took over, and that's why there was a delay with them coming back and forth, and that obviously was not true. It was the same guy. So this is Jim Hellwig back. He just looks a little different because his hair is a little bit shorter, and he wasn't juicing up as much, and he wasn't in the gym either. So he's a little thinner. So he comes back. He has a feud with Papa Shango, which was the lead up to the match was awesome because I remember that on Superstars where he put a curse on him. It showed him throwing up. It showed him having like blood coming down his face. It was very, very, very cool stuff. I never actually saw any of the matches, and from watching this, I'm glad I didn't because they were very, very bad. And Papa Shango, as for those who don't know, he later became the Godfather and also Kama. So he was, yeah, he was Kama, then he was the Godfather. So that was him, Papa Shango first, and I thought it was actually a cool character. So, but that's just me. They don't do these characters anymore, and they don't do these cool little feuds anymore either. So, so the Warrior leaves again because of a drug policy. So he's fired twice. So then he goes to court and he's probably suing for money this time, right? He's suing for more money. Well, we'll find out what it is. I'll show you that in just a second. There we go. So he changed his name to Warrior. So, yeah, I guess it just gets weirder. And I, of course, didn't even know about this again until I actually bought this DVD. And boy, I'll tell you, the stuff I looked up after I watched this was interesting. He was an ultra conservative, very, very right wing. So he went into gay bashing, promotional speaking. Yeah, this guy was just completely off the rail. I heard him talk a few times after the whole Benoit incident, and I don't know. I'll just leave it at that. It was you have to look up the actual clips because he was just so far off the rail. So now I will show him coming back a third time, and he is actually feuding with Hunter Hearst Helmsley, who of course is Triple H. And Triple H is another one. I don't know what to think of him because in this DVD he's bashing him, but then I do have his other DVD where he is then praising him. So I just think Triple H is just full of crap. So yes, so I guess he has to kiss up to the Traffic King. So I will show the clip of him. I believe this is WrestleMania 12, but I could be wrong. So I will show this clip in just a second. A very short Triple H match at WrestleMania 12. And what Triple H says over after this is that he ruined his experience for him. So obviously, time does go on. I understand that. But he changes from him pretty much bashing him to all of a sudden becoming his friend. So I don't know how that works. So whatever you want to believe is pretty much that is pretty much up to you. So I went way into this. He actually does end up getting fired again because he doesn't show up to shows. Gorilla Monsoon says that he suspended him indefinitely. When I watched this in 1996, when I was actually in Myrtle Beach when this was happening, I was honestly very, very upset because I wanted the Ultimate Warrior to stay. I did not know what was going on again until I watched this. So I didn't realize how bad he was and how much of a problem he was actually causing. But if you don't show up, it's kind of a big deal, especially when there were some other things too. I found out his comic book that he made that was not selling. His merchandise was not selling. So he did go in the ring with Jerry Lawler, and Jerry Lawler actually painted this really nice portrait of him. And I guess he came out in a baseball hat. So it's a self promotion that he's doing, and nobody's buying his stuff. People jumped on other wrestlers at this time, so the Warrior just wasn't as popular. So he did go to WCW, which I called World's Crappiest Wrestling, and he ended up going there. And I'll just show a short clip of it. He cut a promo, I guess, with Hogan, and I guess they wanted to beat the bejeebers out of him when he left the ring because I guess he went on some type of rant for 10 minutes, and I guess the ratings just completely sank in that time. And they said that Vince was probably laughing. So I will show that short clip in just a second, and that will be the last one. Well, this is my final clip here. So it was a very short clip of him in WCW. There was a longer one, but it goes on for like 10 minutes. So, so pretty much this is the closing part here. This is what they pretty much said at the end that he didn't really leave a good positive exit, I guess, when he did eventually leave. And he left WCW because he was asking for too much money and the value just wasn't matching up. So, and the match that he had at Halloween Havoc with Hulk Hogan was one of the worst of all time. So you'll have to look that up. You can watch them all, I think, on Netflix, I believe. At least I think it's not. Or Peacock. I'm sorry, Peacock. And you can actually watch that. It's one of the Halloween Havocs. It might be like 97 or something, 97, 98. So overall, I do have to give some type of review on this. So this was definitely worth the money that I paid for it. I'm guessing it was probably $9. And Jake Roberts was about that much. I think I bought these used. And again, this was when FYE was good. So I did watch it. I was very shocked when I saw it for the first time. Let's put it that way. And I watched it several times. I bought his other one as well. Um, so this is definitely something that is worth a look. I recommend maybe buying it yourself instead of watching the actual documentary on the WWE streaming service because they edit things out. So the DVD, buying the DVD is actually the way to go because I watched Razor Ramones on the WWE channel and it wasn't as good for whatever reason. So if I had to give this documentary a grade, I would probably give this a B to B plus. Again, anything Bruce Pritchard said, I just really don't believe anymore. So, and anything Vince says just goes out the window because and Vince is just a piece of garbage. Let's just face it. So, I mean, people can praise him on here all you want, and Hulk Hogan's not really that credible either. He's been caught on camera lying about several things, even stuff on the Warrior he was caught lying about. So this is a very, very good watch, though, overall. Bobby Heenan, I believe, is credible. JR is credible. Jerry Lawler's credible. Ted DiBiase is credible. Ric Flair, well, maybe some people that are into tights, capes, and lasers probably won't like seeing him on here. So that will probably give them nightmares. So, so, like I said, this is one that I do highly recommend for younger viewers. I definitely recommend this because this is when wrestling was really really good. This is my first wrestling review as well. This is my first video, and I'm hoping it doesn't get blocked because I know they are very very strict. So hopefully all my clips will end up working out. So comment below, subscribe if you want. It will help the channel. So I do oh yes, I do want to thank the two people that did subscribe from watching Austin Stevens. So that was my first documentary. This will be my second one. So if you do want to see more, please let me know. I have tons of these documentaries. I have a lot of the WWE and the 30 for 30s. So please let me know or make any suggestions. So and yes, thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.